Hiya, my name's Michael Josem and I'm running for Douglas East for all of us. A big part of running for all of us is putting into practice a lesson that my father taught me, and that is the importance of treating every single human being with equal dignity and respect. And so that's why I'm proud to share with you today our manifesto, which is available on my website. It is available in hard copy and will be distributed to every registered household in Douglas East. And it will also, as you can see, is available online here in this audio and video form. I'm going to be reading through it. And so over the next few minutes, hope you find it interesting. If you have questions or feedback about any of this, please feel free to contact me anytime. My phone number is 488-557. Or alternatively, you can have a look at my website at michaeljosem.com, where you can also email me and contact me via a whole series of other channels. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Dear neighbour, our community plan has been built together by many local residents, people starting out in life, families juggling the pressure of work and children, and residents living on fixed incomes. Our manifesto is based on several core principles: improving government services by holding senior government officials accountable, easing the squeeze on the cost of living, especially by fixing our housing crisis, recovering from COVID-19 by addressing the health and economic challenges caused by lockdowns. My website online at michaeljosem.com has more details of these policies. As a volunteer for many different community groups, I'm grateful to have built a strong track record of serving our community, and will take that to the next level as our representative in Tynwald. Combined with my experience as a business leader, this will help me to be our community's voice to the government and not the government's voice to us. Let's work together so our island will stand strong whichever way we are thrown. Join us with your vote on the 23rd of September. Holding senior government officials accountable. We will fight for senior government officials to be held directly accountable. It is morally wrong that the people of the Isle of Man have been forced to pay for all the errors on our promenade: Liverpool landing stage cost overruns, NSC waterslide delays, bus van and budget blowouts, the second and third COVID lockdowns. There were already proposals in the last Tynwald to link pay for senior government officials to performance, and we can build on them immediately. Rewarding staff for doing good things will improve our culture and improve public services. Putting skin in the game. Senior officials need to have skin in the game. They need to be rewarded for doing good things and to be held accountable for doing bad things. Currently, bad incentives mean that we have passive excuses of mistakes were made and lessons were learned, without identifying specific mistakes, specific errors, or specific lessons, or holding decision makers accountable. Improving performance through accountability. A core lesson learned from leading teams in business: accountability doesn't mean handing out more punishments. Accountability means errors are reduced in the first place because staff performance improves. Rewarding high-performing staff reduces their chances of leaving for work elsewhere, and it builds a better culture focused on citizens. Easing the squeeze on household finances. Cutting taxes for low-income earners. Cutting taxes for low-wage earners will help families who are under the most pressure and build dignity by helping people get back into work. Earnings under the Manx living wage should not be taxed. This will increase the financial rewards of work while easing the squeeze on the cost of living. We'll oppose all moves to introduce new COVID taxes on families. Extending VAT cut to help our community. The Manx government must fight to keep the VAT cut on hospitality to help businesses and workers through winter. The current plan to increase VAT on hospitality on 1 October will harm workers, families and businesses. Enabling monthly payments for vehicle duty. Come on, it's 2021. Almost any bill can be paid monthly by automated direct debit. Vehicle duty should be the same. Opposing pay cuts for key workers. Key workers should be paid fairly for their work. Paying police, doctors, teachers and nurses fairly isn't just morally right, it will help our community attract and retain good staff. It was wrong for this government to cut pay budgets for key workers. Fixing car parking and better transport. We need to increase space for car parking by ending the government's policy of opposing planning permission for temporary car parks. Residents should have greater control of parking on their street, including options of extended permit enforcement times beyond 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. if wanted. Combating the Manx housing crisis. Build and renovate homes in Inner Douglas for people to create lives. It is absurd that big parts of Lord Street, Fort Street, Parade Street, Walpole Street, Regent Street and North Quay are in ruins. Building and renovating housing will make housing more accessible, create good jobs and will protect our environment. Building more affordable housing. For many families, their biggest cost is the cost of housing, rent and mortgages. Homes are out of reach for many people, discouraging our children from building a future on our island. We need more private and public housing so that owning your own home is affordable for more families. Scrutinising foreign purchases of Manx housing. Manx housing should be available first to families to build homes and lives. Homes should not be speculative financial instruments, and foreign speculation should be stopped. Educating for the future. Our schools and UCM should provide a foundation for lifelong learning and respond to the different needs of different students. Empower school communities to have more local control. Work with teaching professionals, listen to and act on the views of school leaders as experts in the interests of all students. Support adult education, especially in vocational training. Support a new education bill with statutory additional educational needs to set level of service families can expect. Support independent education tribunal to ensure parents can hold the service of education to account. Improving our health, physically and mentally. Supporting local healthcare. Our island can never be fully self-sufficient for health services. However, we can make more services available locally through investment in local facilities. This will reduce the stress of travel for short consultations with doctors. Of course, when expert treatment is needed off-island, it should still be made available. Protecting universally accessible treatment. Every person on the Isle of Man must have access to our nation's health service. Our health service must not be privatised. Attracting high-quality staff and services. We need to build a high-quality service here in the Isle of Man. The new Manx Care CEO has spoken about challenges in providing career progression for elite medical staff in a relatively small community. Creating development opportunities is key. Cutting mental health waiting lists. We need to address the shadow pandemic of mental health. It is alarming how many people in our community have been affected by mental illness, especially through the 3 lockdowns. Our island's current Mental Health Act is dangerously out of date, and Manx Care have advised that if the Act is not updated soon, it will put reciprocal agreements at risk. The first budget of the new administration must include support for mental health, including introducing detox inpatient beds to Manx Care. Waiting times for acute emergency treatment have been reported as being up to 2 years, with similarly dire delays for long-term treatment. Learning from the coronavirus pandemic. The next Tynwald should host an open and transparent public inquiry on our entire community's response to the pandemic. This will help to recognise those people who did great things and identify weaknesses to be fixed for the future. Any resident of the Isle of Man should be welcome to testify. As we adjust to a post-COVID world, we must start publishing scientific advice openly and transparently. If the public is to live with the virus, they should have access to the same scientific advice as government ministers. Improving accountability and public governance. End collective responsibility for supposedly independent politicians. All politicians should state their views honestly in public, not just in private. Establish a permanent Manx Independent Commission against corruption to investigate allegations of misbehaviour by government departments. Improving animal welfare. It is time to upgrade protections for animal welfare. Back in 2016, Tynwald had a plan to get local people who care about animals together to write a new animal welfare bill openly and fully care for animals in our Manx situation. Let's get that done. While animal cruelty is thankfully rare on the Isle of Man, our laws should reflect our values as a caring community. Protecting our natural environment. Liberal Vannon is the only political party to be IOM Biosphere Partners. We can do better than the government's target of reaching net zero carbon emissions by 2050 by investing in clean energy solutions and infrastructure to reduce pollution. prohibit fossil fuel extraction on land and in our waters, empower Manx households to have the right to obtain zero carbon emission electricity as part of their supply, expand permitted development to reduce carbon emissions, safely regulate next generation personal electric vehicles, end government purchases of carbon emitting gas. Improving community safety. We must distinguish evil crimes, such as indecently assaulting children, from stupid crimes, such as a returned resident having a garage sale during isolation. It is not fair to send the garage sale man to jail, but not the man who indecently assaulted a child. Toughening sentences for evil crime. Support reforms to the sentencing guidelines so that heinous acts are dealt with firmly. Sexual predators who are convicted of indecently assaulting children should go to jail. Redirecting people who commit trivial offences. Trivial crimes should be deterred by using community service orders by default, not imprisonment. Stopping waste on trivial charges. Taxpayer resources should not be wasted on prosecutions for possessing trivial amounts of cannabis. We should regulate cannabis locally, helping victims of addiction instead of punishing. About Michael Josum. Work history. Consumer advocate to the Isle of Man. Born in Melbourne, Australia, I came to the Isle of Man for work and stayed for life. In Australia, I worked for various rural members of parliament and led a global investigation which uncovered fraud taking place in online poker. As a result, $20 million was refunded to fraud victims globally. I was then recruited by PokerStars, where I led anti-fraud and communication teams. For the last 5 years, I have worked at startups here in the Isle of Man and now serve as the founder of the Manx Taxpayers Alliance to help taxpayers get better value for money and fight government waste. I also work part-time for the Manx Cooperative Society as a connector with local charitable causes. A track record of serving our community. My primary volunteer work is for the Isle of Man Food Bank, delivering food packages to people in need, and the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, helping to honour and share the stories of people who served. I also volunteer with several other community organisations. I umpire for Isle of Man Netball, and I'm on the board of the Manx Hockey Association. I've represented the Isle of Man in Gaelic football and men's netball. I helped establish Douglas basketball team, and I played badly for Castletown Hockey Club. Full-time member of Tynwald. If elected, I will serve as a full-time member of Tynwald, and I will also continue to volunteer for the Isle of Man Food Bank, the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, and Referee Sport to help build stronger community organisations. The election date is Thursday the 23rd of September, with polls open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Polling stations are the Promenade Methodist Church Hall on Loch Promenade, the iMuseum on Kingswood Grove, the Manx Youth Band Room on Derby Road, and the Spiritualist Church on Lower Dukes Road. To vote for me, simply put a single cross in the box next to my name, Michael Josum. If you have any questions, please contact me anytime. My phone number is 488-557. My email address is michael@michaeljosum.com. My website address is michaeljosum.com. And my social media address is @michaeljosum. You can learn more online at michaeljosum.com. This video was published by Michael Josum, the Liberal Vannon candidate for Douglas East, of 1 Hillary Wharf, South Quay, Douglas.